Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of the MCR Mac and Me. My name's TJ. In this segment, we would like to just do a little follow-up commentary, additional news, additional thoughts, additional concerns, all of the above regarding last Saturday's assassination attempt on President Trump. Very quickly, and it's not going to be much of this segment at all, just a couple lines. Yes, J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio, has been picked by President Trump to be his VP running mate. So we'll have that bit of news off the table now. Okay, so onto the topic of this segment here. Could any of us have where we could exhibit such malfeasance, misfeasance, incompetence like what we saw last Saturday? And when you think about it, no one's been fired, no one's resigned. I mean,
some right haven't now, even, as far as I know, the DHS secretary has not even commented yet.
Well, Kimberly Cheeto says, okay, the buck stops here, but she's not going to resign.
Well, it clearly doesn't stop anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know what?
I take full responsibility, which means absolutely nothing.
If I operated with that degree of efficiency at my job, I don't know if I'd last very long. You know?
One day.
Yeah. That's why I said only in the government could you witness this type of job performance. You know what I mean?
If you work in a warehouse and you're driving a high-low and you kill a few people, you're fired.
Oh, they already told us. They already told us, because I do drive a forklift. They already told us it's on you. You know, you will suffer the full wrath.
Right.
You know.
As
so,
you
mainstream media's response to this, they're taking issue with Donald Trump raising his fist, saying fight, fight, fight. You know, like he needs to tone it down.
Yeah, he needs to tone it down. Yeah.
I mean, the guy almost got killed, and you're taking exception to him with his clenched fist saying fight, fight, fight. He's the one that needs to tone it down. And in regards to toning this down, I read an article written by Victor Davis Hanson, and I read it in the oh man, where did I read this at? Revolver or something. But you know what? If you look up Victor Davis Hanson, you're going to find this article. He goes down now. I'm going to use your word, Mac. A litany of comedians, actors, musicians, performers. How they're going to punch him in the face. They're going to take him out. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. There was like 20 of them that he proceeded to mention by name and what they said about what they were going to do to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump about gets shot in the head, and because he yells fight, 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 he's shame on him. He needs to tone it down.
Well, you know what? If the Secret Service were as badass as Donald Trump, none of this would have happened. But they didn't have a problem with the clenched fist when BLM and Antifa use it in their logos when they burn down cities and murder people.
And I'm gonna mention one piece of excrement. He goes by the I'm gonna say stage name, or Destiny. The guy who had a wife who he let cheat on him, and they eventually broke up for whatever goofy reason. I mean, that was a whole warped marriage that this guy was involved in. Destiny.
Did she give prior though? But did she give him a list of guys she would be banging, and he was okay with it?
Something like that.
Okay. I heard that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it was a very weird marriage arrangement, and and it didn't last either. Okay. Well, the same Destiny guy, he said, Trump. Oh man, this is going to fire me up. The Trump supporter that died, he had it coming because he was a Trump supporter. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I've been thinking about that. I was on the treadmill today and I was watching a Megyn Kelly video and something like that got said. And Jack Black, all these people, Bill Maher, all these people. Make yourself scarce in public, because we have no shortages of nuts in this country. Now there might be some nut in his mom's basement polishing his gun thinking, oh yeah, Mr. Destiny. Oh yeah, Jack Black. Well, you know what? You go out to eat some nights. Maybe maybe you and I will sit on this show. We won't, but we could sit on this show and go, well, that's what he had coming.
Oh, and it was a front page article that posted the Victor Davis Hanson article that I was referencing. I just now found it in my notes here. But hey, did you hear about Morning Joe yesterday?
I heard they pulled the show. I don't know if they canceled the show or just that show, because you know what? He was probably going to go, ha, 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 this is what he gets. And the network said, you can't say that.
Well, they did pull the show yesterday. It did return today. They were concerned as to what would have been said yesterday for fear that they would never be able to retract it. Joe and Mika had an on-air tantrum about it this morning, saying if they ever do it again, we quit. You know, I mean, they did this.
Where is he going to do his propaganda from then?
You know, saying, they're on air. If our bosses do this again, we quit. Only in that twisted vocational field could you get away with that nonsense.
Right.
Let's see. Plus, you had other people on Twitter bemoaning the fact that the shooter missed. That goes without saying.
Right.
Now you got the Secret Service pointing to local law enforcement. They were supposed to have that building secure. Local law enforcement saying, "Hey, man, we were told to back down, they were in charge. So, where do you want us? Tell us where you want us."
You and I, in our many years of security, have come in contact with the Secret Service, the FBI, others, and we know how arrogant they are.
Well, yeah, the one morning we did work with them, and they ran the show. We ran support, and they ran the show. Yeah, I will.
But they're arrogant about it.
There was a vendor, a lady who, follows these Trump rallies around and sells, souvenir stuff, hats, shirts, pins, whatever. She said when she got there, right away she had concerns. She saw the roof, couldn't believe that there wasn't even anything. She goes, sometimes they'll bring in big machinery, trucks, cranes, whatever, and just put it up to block that area, And by the way, because everyone knows I listen to Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino was saying pretty much the same thing. If you can't take possession of the location, block the view. That's what he said. Block
because you can't shoot what you don't see.
Yeah, exactly. And not only did they not secure, or as one professional said, sterilize. If you can't secure or sterilize the location, they should have blocked the view, and they didn't block the view either. Back to when Trump was clenching his fist, yelling, "Fight, fight, fight." Mac, did you watch the video from him being taken from the stage to the SUV? Right. Where they put him in the SUV.
Yep.
As I was watching that, as they were putting him into the SUV, I was struck at how many females surrounded the SUV. I'm thinking, holy cow, there's a lot of women there. And no sooner did that thought go through my head, the news commentator goes, "Oh, we got the ponytail brigade." And you think about it. I went back and watched again, and all I can see now are those ponytails bouncing. It's not funny, but now I just can't get that out of my head. They're bouncing ponytails. I just
well, you mentioned some videos back when we were talking about DEI, and how Dan Bongino calls it DIE. Well, that was prophetic.
Yeah. No, that sure was. Also, did you see a clip of him entering RNC? What do you call it? Conference or rally or whatever they call that thing. Last night.
Center.
Convention. Yeah, thank you. Right. Convention. He was surrounded by some big dudes. He didn't have a ponytail brigade around him at that time. I read a news
article.
I don't
mind a ponytail if the guy is 6'4", but as Megyn Kelly pointed out, how do you have a 5'4" woman covering a 6'3" man?
Yeah.
Or woman.
I was reading so many news reports that I didn't even take time to write this one particular article down. I read a news article that a state politician noticed the same thing we noticed with, the ponytail brigade. Will say, okay, she noted and I think it was a female state politician noticed the ponytail brigade, and her comment was, "I got security. They're all Navy SEALs."
Well,
Basically she was saying, "Oh, my Navy SEALs were better than what she saw in that clip." You know?
well, this goes to what we talked about in our what I like to call pregame talk, and we've had this discussion on the phone the last couple of days. You know, right after it happened, I didn't have a good feeling about it. There were too many questions, and now that I've gotten into the deep dive, they let this happen, whether it be the Secret Service, the local police, or the local police and the Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security, in my opinion, let this happen because I'm sorry, you're not going to piss down my back and tell me it's raining. I know there is no level of incompetence with the skill level of these people. You're asking me to believe the unbelievable.
I'm compelled to reference the supposed police officer that allegedly retreated. Okay,
Yeah.
and I know some viewers might take issue with me, but I don't know if I necessarily fault the police officer. When someone's got a loaded gun pointed at your head, it is human instinct of survival to duck. Okay,
Sure.
and the way, and I read this in a Blaze news article, which kind of went along my theory of the police officer went up there, poked his head up, saw the shooter spun around, pointed a loaded AR at his head. He instinctively ducked. The shooter, knowing that the gig was up, turned back around and immediately engaged Trump. That's what they think. They suspect something to that effect played out. You know, to say the police officer should have shown greater courage and taken a bullet to the head, you know what? It's easy to say that when you're not the one with, and you know what? I'll tell you this right now. Trump and I got something in common. We've both been shot in the right ear. Okay. So it's easy to say something like that when you're not the one being shot at. Okay.
Right.
I'm, could the police officer have shown greater courage? Perhaps. But, I'm not going to fault him for a basic survival instinct of quick ducking his head, only to be second guessed afterwards. Okay. So,
Yeah, I guess my question would be, and I don't have this information, but what did he do after that?
well,
Because my thinking is, okay, yeah, instinctively, I think I would probably do the same. I'd duck down or go down the ladder. I would draw my weapon and then I would engage the guy. So
well,
I don't know why you needed the sniper to shoot him because the cop should have shot him.
well, here's the thing though. Once he engaged Trump, it was like nanoseconds that the counter snipers took him out.
Yeah, I understand
So,
that, but what did the cop do as the 5 or 6 shots are getting fired? Nothing.
well, that's a good question. And you know what? We
Because
may never.
he clearly didn't fire on the guy, and he should have, I would tell you.
No, he didn't. So, but in any event, I just wanted to throw that out there. Any viewer who wants to nitpick, feel free. We get nitpicked at all the time.
Oh yeah,
So,
you didn't use this word. You should have used this word. Let me give a message to all the Karens out there who like to critique our language. Don't bother.
uh, one final thought, and then Mac, whatever you want to throw in. One final thought: a BlackRock ad. For those unfamiliar, and if you listen to the news, you'll recognize the company name BlackRock. It's a money management firm. Their specialty is retirement investment. Okay, the company where I work uses a different company, I guess. Thank goodness, but BlackRock. It's a retirement money management thing. Well, they had a commercial, and it involved teachers at a particular school in Pennsylvania. And the teacher that they were highlighting was also narrating the commercial. And so as the teacher is narrating the commercial, singing praises of the BlackRock firm, they're showing the students throughout the class that he's teaching at the time. And guess who's sitting at the front of the class? The shooter. You can't make this up. Well,
You really can't.
BlackRock pulled that ad like in a heartbeat. They're like, holy
Can't say I
shit.
blame them.
BlackRock pulled that ad quicker than anything.
Yeah,
I mean, there he was right in the front.
As well. They're working hard to kill the U.S. dollar in favor of foreign entities. So, you know what? Maybe they do have their hand in this somehow. I can't say that. I don't have any information to prove that. But
well, a side note about BlackRock, I've heard in news reports that they pressure companies to go woke or they won't invest in that particular company.
That's one of the things I've heard as well.
So of course, I just hear it in the news. You can hear anything in the news. So take that for what it's worth. Okay, that would be my disclaimer. That's pretty much all I got for this segment. We just kind of wanted to do follow up on some issues, news that has been leaking out. We'll say, possible theories or whatever. Like especially with the police officer, whether or not he should have engaged the shooter or what his actions. But anyways, that's all I got. You got anything to wrap up with, Matt?
Well, I have to wonder when is because if Donald Trump was responsible for inciting January 6th insurrection, which of course is a lie. There was no insurrection, but it was. Is Joe Biden then also guilty for inciting an assassination attempt?
Well, that goes to the Victor Davis Hanson article. I mean, he went down a list.
He's not alone in that list by a long shot.
Yeah, I was going to start writing them down, and I said, you know what? If you're that curious, you're going to have to look up Victor Davis Hanson and read the article for yourself.
Well, maybe I could find it and put it in the description. But
Victor Davis Hanson, he had like 20 examples of people saying outrageous things, and in the whole commentary of, and Trump's the one that's supposed to tone this down.
Yeah.
We're the one that's raising
the rhetoric. I read
a
comment on Facebook by an idiot who I then had to block because I can't deal on a daily basis with this level of stupidity. He said we would be saying the same thing if they shot Biden. No, asshole, I wouldn't. And because you're an idiot doesn't mean everyone else.
Food for thought.
No, that's about it.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks everyone for your support. At the time of right now, at this point in the segment, I'm going to guess that our diehard supporters are still watching. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, you guys, for your support. It keeps us going in this endeavor. And we'll catch you in the next segment. As we always say at the end of our segments, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.